Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and I'm back with another episode of my Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2020 playthrough with the Penn State Nittany Lions. I'm into the second season with this team being the head coach. I got a 3-year contract, and things have taken a downturn pretty bad since that last episode. I really ended that last episode feeling pretty good about this team. We were 6 games into the conference schedule. We were 3-3 in conference, 9-6 overall. But after that, we just really took a dive. We're 5-9 in the conference right now, so that means we just won 2 of the last 8 games. A pretty decent win against Illinois, but it was at home, and then Nebraska at home, and I think Illinois is not that bad of a team, but Nebraska is probably towards the bottom, if not at the bottom. Let me double check while I'm thinking of it. Um, yeah, Nebraska's at the bottom. Illinois is 8-5, so that was a good win against Illinois, but just too many losses. And what it's done is it's put us where we were last year. We finished 14-15 last year in the regular season. Lost a game, lost the only game we played in the tournament, Big Ten tournament, and finished 14-16. So with 6 games left, we're in a poor situation to even match last year because we've got Michigan State and Wisconsin. Michigan State on the road, Wisconsin at home, but those are 2 of the best teams in the conference, and both of them ranked top 10 in the country. So I think 3-3 would probably be the best I could hope for out of these 6 games, which again would just equal what we did last year. So I think, barring some kind of miracle, we just play our butts off and get some upsets. We may take a step back this year, considering that this is my second season. You'd like to see some development here, and we're just not seeing it. So I'm gonna go over a couple things with the team and maybe give an update on some play that how the stats look for the team, and then we'll get into these games and get it going. But the first thing I wanted to look at was recruiting. I had 3 scholarships to offer, and I've already, of course, we're late in the season, so we're pretty much getting to the tail end of recruiting anyway. But I already had this 3-star small forward. He's already given us a letter of intent, so he's a pretty good overall all around player. I think what is he, 14th in the region in his position. Unfortunately. And that's something I guess I'll talk about in a minute, but I'm still struggling with the prestige of this team. It was low when I took him over, and I haven't really improved it. So recruiting is still tough. I've got a couple guys here, a power forward who I've liked really since I started recruiting. I know he's not rated stars-wise too highly, but I love the guy's size. He looks to be a pretty good scorer. This is his numbers for, I guess, his senior year in high school. And man, 16 points. The dude, though, is just so big. 6'11", 241. I don't know how much that'll factor into to the numbers, his overall play. But he's rated at A in inside shooting, B in scoring, and B in defense. So I'm hoping a player like this could give us, even though we don't have a kind of dominant center inside, maybe a guy like this, if he develops, could give us a chance to have some kind of inside play, and that's kind of what I like about him. I'm hoping that he'll sign with us. We're still just his second-rated school, so that's the unknown here. He could still go with another, whoever his top school is, and then a shooting guard here, Peter Peterson. I went ahead and gave this guy an offer, even though. We're only 6th in his top 10 schools, but he was the best shooting guard that I could get interested. And I've got a backup plan if he doesn't agree, to come to Penn State. But shooting guard is where I'm going to be struggling, I think, next year depth-wise, losing 2 seniors this year in shooting guard. So I want to make sure that this guy, that at least get a shot at him. So if he doesn't go, I may have to use that backup plan. But right now in recruiting, I think we're still in the evaluation phase, and there's one more contact phase coming up in April, in March, even better. So it's about a month away. I can go and visit and make some more pitches, and that's really where I think you get the guys. If you've got all the information that you need, like I know that location and facilities are important to this guy. If I can go out there and pitch those to him, maybe that'll sway him finally to come to the team. So hopefully he will still be available and he won't sign with another team before then or another school before then. But that's how recruiting looks. Now on the stats for the team, leading scorers, it's still going to be, because we're focused on strategy and the offensive sets we're using, we're still primarily going outside. So it's going to be the guards who are getting the points. Derek D'Elia, who I think led us in scoring last year at, 10, 11 points. He's off that pace, but getting about the same amount of minutes. He's at 10.6 points this year. Not great by any means, but he's the leading scorer. Robinson, small forward, a junior, he's doing pretty well. He's one of the better rated players on the team, and I hope that I see a little bit more development out of him because he's had a good overall season. 4.5 rebounds, 10 points. He had a slow start, and I think he's picked it up. You'll see a lot of double-digit point totals here. Since maybe middle of the season, he started picking it up a little bit. Still inconsistent, but maybe that's just because of the way he's been played. Might be getting double teamed some. And then Jennings, power forward, which I really don't have any depth at. I lost one of my better potential or higher potential power forwards to transfer this year. He's at 4-star potential. He's gotten a lot of play time this year. Points aren't there necessarily. Rebounds, though, are pretty decent. And he has gotten better as the year's gone on, for sure. Like, if you look at this Rutgers game on, he's been pretty steady. He had a double-double against Indiana, 10 points, 11 rebounds. I think and hope, really, that his ratings will improve next year. It'll be his senior season as well, so hopefully he'll be a good option at power forward. And then center, I have to give props to Mark Sandin. I didn't want to go with him going into the season because I thought his defensive play was going to be bad, but all things considered, he's getting not quite 20 minutes. He's getting under 20 minutes a game. Probably getting more later after I made him the starter, but he's still giving me more points than the freshman recruit that I was hoping to go with, Parks. Long term, I think he's probably going to be, even next year, I think he'll come into his senior season the favorite to get the role again at center. And then finally, point guard, Uche has been a disappointment. Just 3 assists a game, 6 points. He's a junior transfer in. He came when I scouted him. He was at 3.5 stars. He's now 2.5 stars. So he's not really high on potential. And I think Odell is a sophomore with a 3-star potential, and maybe I should have given him more time. I'm starting to regret that a little bit, but he hasn't looked that great either when he's gotten a lot of play time. Point guard's going to be a problem next year. We got those 2 guys in a walk-on, and the walk-on's a senior, so I wasn't able to get anybody interested, any decent point guards interested in terms of recruiting, so it's going to be those 2 guys again. I might even have to use somebody else in that position if I've got another good ball handler who can give me some minutes there. But that's how the team's looking. We do have one injury here with Pepper, 86% from a sprained toe for the next 6 days. He was a guy who I used at point guard last year, but he's a senior now, and he's just the odd man out. He's only given me 4 points a game this year, not really doing what he did last year. So I think if anybody's injured right now on this team, he's probably the one I can afford to lose. But on the relationships too, it's been a little bit better in that regard. We got 2 guys here who are upset. A.D. Lee, I think it's just because his bio or his profile, I don't know, he's having some battles with Robinson, and it's just been playing back and forth all season. I hope that he'll still be around next year, but he's only going to give us depth. He's pretty good off the bench. He can play small forward. I've played him power forward a little bit. But then the other guy who's worried me a little bit, Eddie Perry, a sophomore with 4-star potential. He could possibly transfer out. Just looking at the way things have gone with this game, and I had this situation with Austin P. I had it last year with power forward. I can't remember his name, but when their relationship for the coach gets down there in 20s, 30s, and below, they're a real risk to transfer. And I don't know. The problem is the one place where I've got depth is small forward, and so I just haven't been able to give this guy any play time. So the recruit I've got coming in next year is 3-star. I hope he'll, if Perry does decide to transfer out, I think I'll still have some depth there. But other than that, the team is fairly happy. No big worries. Here's Jason Bailey too. He's a 4-star junior. I would have liked to have given him some more time because he's also a shooting guard who could potentially be the best option to start next year. But we'll just see how that plays out. I think that's all I was going to talk about before we get started. I've gone over recruiting. The big thing, though, that if you're playing this game yourself, one of the things that you have to realize is that recruiting is so key, I think, to winning in this game. I think you might be able to finagle it a little bit more, and it's something I'm going to think about next year if I'm around, is, you might can spend the money you have for recruiting and get a good assistant. That might help, because I haven't really seen too much benefit that you get from the staff. I've got a 3-star guy, and if I just look at the staff, where is it? One of my assistant coaches who handles training, which is where you're going to see your development outside of playing, player development, is 3 stars. That's the best I've got. I think having somebody who's rated higher would really benefit me if I'm getting the kind of recruiting classes that I'm getting. I don't know if you can have both. I mean, you'd have to have a really big budget to have both, enough money to really go after those big recruits, those 4 and 5-star recruits, or maybe you just need to put money into your assistant coach. I haven't really figured out that formula yet with this game. It's one of the tougher sports management games I've ever played, really, from that aspect, and figuring out how you win. But recruiting is key, especially in a conference like the Big Ten. You can't win with the roster like that I have. I've got 2 guys at 3-star, 2 at 2.5. One of them's not even getting any starting time, I don't think. Yeah, Pepper's not even getting any big play time, and that's it. No 4.5, 5-star players, and you really need that. I mean, you could take a look at, I wasn't going to go there, but let's just take a look at almost any team in this conference. For instance, let's take a look at even Rutgers. You got, they've got 3 guys 3.5 stars, and 1 3-star, so they've got a better roster than I do. I mean, you don't even have to figure like a team like Wisconsin. They've got a 4-star and a 5-star. Michigan, I bet's got some pretty good recruits because they're just such a great program. 4-star, 2 4-stars, and 2 3.5s. I don't have anybody to that level, and I think that's why I'm struggling to get past that 14-win mark, or really just struggling to have a winning season. So I'm going to keep at it at least for one more season and see what I can do. But if I can't get better recruits in, or I can't get better development in the recruits I'm getting, this is probably what I'm going to be seeing year after year. I don't foresee this team having a winning season with this kind of lineup. It's pretty pitiful when you do start comparing it to the rest of the conference. So I think it's an achievement to even get this far. And if you're new to the series, just to show you the history of this Penn State team, I started simming probably 2019 season, and look at this: 7 wins, 9 wins, 11 wins. The 14 wins last year were the best season we've had since I've been playing this game. So this was definitely, if I went out looking for a challenge, this was definitely the challenge to pick up. A low prestige team in a high prestige conference. Boy, it's really tough. I gotta just stress that. But let's go ahead and get moving. I'm hoping to get through these 6 games and finish out the regular season. We got one here. This is going to be Michigan State, 20-5 on the year. I just hope it's not a bloodbath. I'm thoroughly expecting to lose. And we do, which drops us 11-13, 5-10 in the conference. Like I say, I didn't get a chance to see the score that came up. I'm just hoping we're competitive. Temple there looks like they're having a good year. So, how did we do? Pretty terrible, 80-45. That I think was the worst loss for the season for us. Look at that second half, just 12 points. I'm sure there's not going to be much positives here. Uche led us in points with 11. D'Elia, no points. I mean, your leading scorer gets no points, which again is probably, in this case, my guess is they were double teaming the guy maybe, or, when you don't have much of a threat anywhere else, they could probably afford to do that. Jennings, 7 points, 5 rebounds. That's really not too bad from him. He led in playtime. I sincerely hope this guy, I can't imagine him not getting a big boost to his ratings going into next season. Of the centers, Parks was by far the best. Off the bench, 9 points, 2 rebounds. Sanda I talked him up and he was terrible. 1 point, -30. Gosh, this was a terrible game. 18-55 shooting. 3 of 9 from the free throw line. Out-rebounded 37-32. Just a much better team. They only went to the free throw line once in this game. Wow. Chris Thompson, a forward for them. Leading scorer, 4.5-star player. This is what I need. I don't have it. It'd be so great. It'd be so good to have that kind of a player on this team. But let's keep moving. That was a game I knew we were going to lose, but didn't want to see us lose that bad. But we need to win 3 more. I don't know how we're going to do it. Gonzaga's having a struggle this year. They're just 13-11, but they started out slow. One of the first times in this playthrough that I've seen them have a rough season. So we're not playing today. And I may, if I have some time, I may check out the polls and show you how the rest of the league's doing this year. I don't know if there have been too many surprises, but that's weird. I don't see that too much. So had an error there. That's kind of odd. All right, so now are we going again? No, still not playing this week. I forgot to check when our next week or next game was. Maybe we got a Saturday game coming up. Brigham Young having a great season. If you didn't get a chance to see that score, they're 7th in the country with 25 wins. That's pretty incredible for them. And I saw Austin Peay flash up there. That's the team that I started this game with. First playthrough I did. I think they're struggling a little bit. The recruits that I gave them weren't all that great, and I think they're struggling again. Not the team they were when I took over or when I left them. All right, so we're going to have some mail here. I'm hoping it's one of these guys who are giving us a verbal or letter of intent. We'll see. And we're going to be playing Iowa. Man, that should be a good matchup at home for us. But, all right, we've got Wisconsin scouting report, Minnesota. No point in looking at those. I'm sure we're going to be scouted to lose. And Iowa, same way, 70-30. Shooting guard, we have the advantage, but nowhere else. And they even have a better bench. So this could be, this is one of those where if we're going to meet that 14 wins, we have to win this one. And we don't. I think that's pretty much the season. And it's just, next year is going to be make or break. More than likely, if I can't turn it around, I'll get fired and may have to look for another job at another program. And just, let's see, 71-62. And if I have to go to another program, I don't know if I'll be able to do what I did here. It's taking a low prestige team. So we were doing well here until, first half we led going into the half, and they just came out and really outplayed us, I guess, the second half. Jennings, 8.7 rebounds, a lot of minutes, 28. Sandin, 13 points, but just 2 rebounds. And then D'Elia, he did match up well against him. He just didn't have a great shooting game. 3 for 12 field goals, 15 points. Off the bench, not much to really highlight there. Just a poor shooting performance. 18 of 59, 19 of 24 from the line. We out-rebounded them maybe. Nope, 41-35, but that is one of our higher totals. Just not a great game. Jeter was their player of the game, and he's not even, he's a freshman 2-star rated player. So that pretty much was our last hope for the 14 wins. I don't see us winning 3 of these next 4 when we know we're going to end up Wisconsin. It's a home game, but that's just not going to be possible, I don't think, with this team at this point. And I know one of my viewers even commented about Penn State. I think he took them over maybe with the database that's loaded into that I've loaded into this game, and he had the same struggle. I think they're a tough one because once again it's that low prestige in a high prestige conference. I didn't know how difficult it was going to be. I thought your recruiting would be not way easier, but I thought your recruiting would be relatively easy to get the 4 and 5-star players, which is something I could never even approach at Austin Peay. And it's been the same thing here. I mean, for whatever reason, 3 stars is about where I top out. So we're Ohio State at home. Finally get the win here. This is one that we really had to win. If losing that one would have been just total embarrassment. So 12-14 overall. Brigham Young another win against Gonzaga, and now Brigham Young is at 6th. And like I say, we'll take a look at the ratings or the polls after this one. So pretty decent win, 67-53. We haven't been scoring a lot since earlier in the season. But good defensive game looks like here. We were solid both halves. Jennings, not a great game. A lot of minutes, but just 4 points, 3 rebounds. Uche was was the player of the game. That may have been the first time I've seen him get that. Let's see. Players of the game. No, maybe not. He's been player of the game 5 times and then player of the week once. But that was one of his better games for sure. 3 assists, 17 points. D'Elia, 7 rebounds, 13 points. Sandin must have been pretty good overall, but to have that plus 15, but his numbers aren't that great. And then off the bench, not much going on. We shot a little bit better in this game than we have been. Matched him in rebounds, had more points in the paint. But again, canceled. This was a game we had to win. Of the 6 on that schedule, this I believe is going to be the easiest one. Ohio State is probably another team that's in that same position as Penn State in this playthrough, in this game right now. Looks like they're having trouble maybe getting recruits or something to that effect, but I've noticed they are usually in the bottom half of the conference in the playthroughs that I've had. And let's see. Now we're going to be playing Northwestern on the road. This is another one. Can we win? Don't know what our chances are. I think this one is probably, I'll just view it from the dashboard. They're actually, they're rated to be this here. So this is one that we need to win as well. And I just don't feel like we're going to do it. They have a better record in conference. Yes. No, we won. Wow, that's a surprise. So that gives us 13 wins on the season, 7 in the conference. I'm a little surprised by that based on how we played, but let me take a look at the box score of that one. 87-70. Finally got our scoring in there. David Robinson, 20 points. Looks like he's and Jennings, 19. So eager to see the box score here. So yeah, Jennings, Robinson was player of the game, one of his best games. Look at that, 9 rebounds, 20 points. But Jennings, solid, 19 points, 4 rebounds. Man, a lot of minutes from him too. I wonder what his relationship. It's growing. His team relationship's really good. And then Sandin looked pretty decent. 6 rebounds, 10 points. Uche, he hasn't been the guy I wanted at point guard. But D'Elia, just 8 points from him. Parks looked good off the bench. 4 rebounds, 6 points. So good center play in this one. More than likely, yep. I was going to say more than likely we just had a good shooting game, and we did. Free throws weren't that great, 17-24, but 10 for 16 from 3 points. That was probably what did them in. They didn't have a great game, though, under 40 in shooting, and we way out-rebounded them, 40-28. More points in the paint. One of our best wins of the season by far. So now we got 2 more games left. I said, I wanted to win 3. It may be Nebraska next. I can't remember, to be honest, without going back to the schedule. No, it's Minnesota on the road. So this one, just not a chance here. So the one that we should have won was, I guess, the Iowa game. That was the one that we really should have won. Iowa at home. Man, I don't see a chance against these Minnesota and Wisconsin. Minnesota 74-26 in terms of the ratings. I don't think we played Minnesota either this year. This will be our first time playing them. We lost to Wisconsin by 11 on the road. A win here would be phenomenal. That's all I'm going to say. Minnesota, they got a good chance of making the Final Four tournament with that record. And we lose. I didn't see the score, so we'll see how badly we lost. It's just going to come down to that Wisconsin game. If we can have just a total upset there. I think the board's really going to be unhappy. I may even get fired after this season. So, how did it go? 71-59. Weren't really in it. Jennings, again, a lot of minutes, 10 points. Sandin, good game from him, 11.7 rebounds. Uche, D'Elia, that starting lineup wasn't bad. Robinson struggled. And then the bench was just nothing much at all from the bench. And then, once again, under 40% shooting. Good free throw performance, but just didn't shoot enough. I mean, that's just bottom line. I think if Robinson probably would have gotten us more points, a little bit better bench play, we may have had a chance. But now it comes down to Wisconsin, even though they're at home. Big upset is what we're needing here. And I'm almost positive we finished 14-15 and 8-12 in the conference last year. So it would be, we would have to have just a humongous upset to even duplicate what we did last year. And we're going to get to it, and we don't. So we've taken a step back. So we're going to finish the regular season 13-16, 7-13 overall. Wow, that's not good. And let's see, we're the 74-61, almost a repeat of the first time they beat us. 29 points from Davis. Good Lord. Center, 37 minutes in this game, 19 rebounds. That's crazy. How does a guy get that much playtime? He's a 5-star freshman. This is what I'm up against. I mean, look at the season this guy's had. 19 points, 13 rebounds, almost 14 rebounds. Wow, you cannot compete with that caliber of play when you don't have a guy even halfway that good. So for us, I mean, Sandin was our leading scorer, 10 points. Jennings, 9 points, just 3 rebounds. Not much positive for our side. Maybe Bailey getting 7 off the bench was not bad, but once again, under 40% shooting. Really not good at the three-pointers, but we're probably just throwing them up there late in the game to try to get back into it. We did outscore them in the second half, for what it's worth. But that's crazy. Maybe I do need to get the kind of players who can give me that kind of play. 30 plus minutes. I don't have anybody on the team that I'm willing to give that much time to either. So that's going to do it for the regular season. I don't know if maybe we'll get through this week and see maybe who that opening game is. I might be able to even put a game in for the conference tournament. But I'd probably like to do the tournaments in another episode, so we may save that. 13-16. There's no way this is going to be a positive season. We'd have to make a run for the title in the tournament, Big Ten tournament, for this to be a positive season. And let's see what the news is. James Reichart, we got him. So I'm pretty sure he is the power forward that I'm going for. He is. I know his rankings are not there. I'm really okay with that. Like I said, he's been trending up in his rankings. I know, Penn State, Big Ten school, you should probably be getting guys better than this, but I'm just betting on his skill ratings and size to be worth more than the recruiting rankings. So I'm glad to see that he's going to get there. Still hope that I can get Peterson. He's still hanging out down there at 6th. And in terms of like the options, the backup for shooting guard, I'm really in trouble right now. Interested recruits. This is all I got, and it's gonna be tough. So when we go into that contact period in a couple weeks, I'm gonna visit this guy maybe twice and see if I can just get him interested. So we'll check out the rest of the mail here, and then we'll just none of our underclassmen. That's no surprise. And then we're gonna be playing Nebraska. That's a real good matchup for us. Any of the players, any of the teams that we needed to meet in this tournament, they were it. I mean, we've already beaten them, I think, twice this year, on the road and at home. You see the record, 6-23. So hopefully, we win this one. We're 14 wins on the season. We're going to get 17 losses regardless. So I'm not too confident we'll get far into the tournament, but we'll see. And then the Norton finalist, we got 1-2 Davis, that freshman center. 3 from the Big Ten out of the 10 listed here. So let's take a look at a couple things. We'll look at the standings for the Big Ten. Looks like Michigan State and Maryland, Wisconsin, those 3 teams just were, tough to beat. Look at their home records. 18-1, 20-1, 18-0. Michigan State's won 12 in a row. They got to be the favorites, I think, to win the Big Ten, in my mind, over Maryland. But then you got Illinois, who we did beat, and Minnesota now. Those 2 teams maybe on the bubble. Depends on how they go into the Big Ten or how they play in the Big Ten. They might, Minnesota for sure has a good chance, I think, making the tournament. And then there you go, the rest. Purdue, Iowa. I really wish we could be right up in here. Midway, a little bit above midway in the standings. Instead, we're way down here. And it's a step back from last season. We have a worse record, so not good. And then I want to take a look at the Ohio Valley, just to see how Austin Peay's doing. Hey, they didn't have a bad season, 10-8 in conference, 15-14 overall. If you guys have followed me since the last playthrough, look at the ratings on this team. But Travis Hart was a recruit. I think Mike Mallett may have been a recruit. Just don't see a whole lot of development from these guys. I don't know if that's just the way this game works. Because I do see some development, though. That can't be the way it works. But Jensen, I think, was a guy that I recruited, and he was first season for me. He was a leading scorer. No, he became a starter his second season. He's had a pretty decent career overall. Speedy McMillian, a guy that I recruited, point guard. Not too bad from him either. Probably a good conference player. But interesting to see how they were doing anyway. So let's take a look too at the polls, and then that's how it ended. I'll go ahead and do the tournaments in the next episode, but looking first at the top 25. So you got Arizona, undefeated, 32-0. They're first, followed by Villanova, Maryland, Florida, Michigan State. Brigham Young, like I said, having a great season, 28-2. San Diego State, another good season from them. Not too many surprises. Maybe Davidson, although I've seen them have some good seasons here. I don't know what conference they're in, but you got Colorado having a good season. Northern Iowa, Dayton, Stony Brook. That's a surprise to see them there. But for the most part, I'm seeing the same teams year after year in the top. And then if I take a look at the bubble watch, so the way they've got it right now, just looking at the Big Ten, you got Maryland, Michigan State, Wisconsin, for sure making it based on top 25. And then outside of them, you got Minnesota pretty comfortably. I think they've got a really good shot at making it, whether they do well in the Big Ten tournament or not. Iowa's on here. So that would be 5 teams. Illinois is on here. That'd be 6 teams. Purdue, 7 teams. Man. So they're saying 7 teams from the Big Ten would make it. So that's the kind of conference that we're in. I mean, it's hard to beat the prestige here, but we're just not ready to compete. It's going to be a year or two, and I may not be the one who does it, but I think it's all going to depend on, not to sound like a broken record, but it's all going to depend on how well these guys develop. You know, I've got several 4-star potential players on the team. One or more of those guys, they've got to reach that potential. And hopefully I've given them the play time this season to do it, but we'll see. As for this episode, I guess we'll call it a wrap, and then I'll come back and do the tournaments all together. We'll do the Big Ten tournament, and then we'll go through the Final Four tournament and see how that plays out. But as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate the support on the channel. I'm looking at some options on some other games to add here in the future. There's a football game. I'm not going to name it, but there's a football game that I've kind of seen, and it's American football. And I'm intrigued by this game. It's one that I may start taking a look at and maybe putting some videos up in the future. But for now, I'd like to keep playing this one as much as I can. I've also got a few out-of-the-park baseball videos up if you're interested. Another great sports management game. But I will see you next episode when we get through the tournaments. Thanks for watching.